50 Cent is back at it, and this time he's aiming straight at T.I. again. Hold up, because the spark is the situation with King Harris asking his dad for a wild $100,000. Yeah, you heard that right, 6 figures, and calling his father his personal bank like it's normal. And just like that, the internet flipped it into a full-blown viral moment overnight. Now everybody's debating T.I.'s parenting, his money, and the whole family dynamic. You won't believe how fast things escalated, because this wasn't just chatter, it turned into fuel for drama. As the tension kept rising, social media started cooking up an even bigger storm. And guess what? The feud didn't cool down. It got louder, messier, and way more personal. Girl, rumors even started swirling about a possible 50 Cent documentary tied to all this, which tells you one thing: this story is just getting started. Like most chaos in 2026, it all kicked off with a single clip going viral. That clip featured King Harris, just 21, speaking openly online. He casually explained how he approaches his father for money. Not small cash, not daily expenses. He was talking big business money. We're talking $100,000, just like that. The clip spread everywhere, and people instantly locked on to one narrative. T.I.'s son was out here asking for 6 figures like it was nothing. And yeah, that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. King clarified he goes to his dad for investments, bought handouts. He even said he doesn't need a bank when he has T.I. Now, on paper, that's not crazy at all. Plenty of wealthy parents fund their kids' ventures. It happens all the time. But let's be real. The internet doesn't care about context. It runs on clips, captions, and half-told stories. And the second that video hit timelines, people ran wild with it. Suddenly, the narrative became King Harris is draining his dad dry. And right on cue, here comes 50 Cent. Curtis Jackson has basically built a second career off trolling at the perfect moment. Actually, make that a third career. He's been doing this to Ja Rule for years, decades even. He even went after Christian Combs earlier this year. So when the King Harris clip blew up, there was no way 50 was staying quiet. He jumped in, posted about it, and started cracking jokes instantly. But these weren't just jokes. They were calculated shots at T.I.'s finances. He painted a picture like King was bankrupting his own father, the same man who once crowned himself King of the South. Now let's be clear, this wasn't random. 50 Cent and T.I. have been going at each other for months already. And this beef, it's way past music at this point. We're talking diss tracks, family mentions, and deeply personal attacks. Stuff that goes way beyond rap bars and Instagram captions. So that 100K clip, that was gasoline on an already raging fire. But hold up, we need to rewind for a second, because to really get why 50 jumped on this, you need the full backstory. This tension didn't start yesterday, and T.I.'s finances have been a talking point long before this moment. The 2026 feud didn't come out of nowhere. These are two legends from the mid-2000s era of hip-hop. Different coasts, different styles, but always in the same competitive space. Over the years, there was tension, but also a level of respect. Both had bigger issues to deal with at the time. T.I. faced legal troubles and prison time and focused on building his empire with Tamika Tiny Harris. Meanwhile, 50 was dominating TV with power and expanding his business moves. And let's not forget, he kept his title as hip-hop's most ruthless troll. Back then, they didn't need each other as enemies, but 2026 changed everything. Something small, maybe a comment or interview, lit the match, and just like that, things exploded. After decades of legacy building, they found themselves in a massive new feud. At that point, who started it didn't even matter anymore, because the escalation, it was fast and intense. T.I. went straight to the studio. While others argue online, he took it back to old-school rap beef. He started dropping diss tracks back to back, and he wasn't holding back at all. He threw heavy shots, even calling 50 a snitch, and mocked him as someone who only talks tough online. But here's the twist. 50 doesn't fight with music anymore. He fights with content. Memes, captions, and perfectly timed posts, that's his battlefield now. So while T.I. was dropping bars, 50 was dropping viral moments. And honestly, that's what made this beef dangerous. Because 50 didn't just go at T.I., he went at everyone around him, and that's where real damage happens. That strategy pulled T.I.'s entire circle into the mess, and things took a serious turn when 50 targeted Tiny. That's when everything changed. It stopped being just rap. It got emotional and personal. 50 even posted a controversial clip of Tiny performing and added a warning telling T.I. to keep his name out of his mouth. Now, in rap culture, bringing someone's wife into it, that's all-out war. It's basically saying no boundaries, no respect, no limits. This right here is full-on scorched earth. And the second King Harris saw that post, he didn't hesitate. He fired back immediately. Yeah, King jumped straight into the T.I. and 50 Cent war like he'd been waiting for this moment. This all went down on Sunday, February 22nd, when things officially crossed the line. After 50 posted that warning shot featuring Tiny, King slid into the comments with something personal. He asked 50 where his mother was, a direct reference to Sabrina Jackson, who passed when 50 was just 8. And from that point, it escalated. Fast, real fast. King didn't stop there. He pushed further, telling the Candy Shop rapper to post his late mother too. At the same time, he doubled down and warned him to leave Tiny out of the situation. Then things got even darker. He posted a tombstone image on his story. Yeah, what looked like a photo of 50 Cent's mother's gravesite. At just 21, King was going all in. No filter, no hesitation. He matched the 50's energy, blow for blow, even dragging the deceased into a rap beef. And let's be real, that's when things go from rap to something deeper. Of course, 50 didn't stay quiet. He fired right back. He jumped on Instagram again, throwing even more shots at T.I. and his family. But here's the twist. He was doing it while promoting his Broadway project. He captioned a post about the 2026 revival of Joe Turner's Come and Gone with subtle jabs at T.I.'s kids. That's classic 50, mixing business with disrespect. He basically turned trolling into marketing, and that's why he's so dangerous in these situations. But King wasn't just talking online either. He took it to the studio. The 21-year-old dropped multiple diss tracks aimed straight at 50 Cent. At least 3 records, back-to-back pressure. And these weren't light bars. They were personal. He went deep, bringing up the 50's past, from the 2000 shooting to his relationship with Marquise Jackson. Even his past relationships weren't off limits. One of those tracks, it went viral on its own. Meanwhile, T.I. watched all this unfold, and surprisingly, he wasn't stopping it. He actually looked proud seeing his son step into the ring. Tiny also responded, brushing off 50's jab in an interview on The Breakfast Club. She even praised her sons King and Damani for defending her. So yeah, the family stood united. They made it clear they weren't backing down. But here's the thing, this played right into 50's hands. More reactions mean more content for him.
More emotion means more ammo. And that's the trap when you go against 50 Cent. Every reply becomes a weapon, every outburst turns into a viral moment, and every new person involved becomes a target. King's clash with 50 isn't even his first time doing this. Remember, 50 already went at Christian Combs earlier in 2026. So yeah, he's already mastered this playbook. He knows exactly how to handle someone defending their family name. Now hold up, because this next part explains everything. If you're wondering why the bankrupting T.I. jokes hit so hard, here's why. T.I.'s financial history isn't as smooth as people think. Yeah, the money came, but it also went. And the public record? It's complicated. T.I. isn't just a rapper. He's an actor, entrepreneur, and more. And his estimated net worth sits around $30 million. That number, according to reports, is combined with Tiny's. It also factors in that massive $71 million court win in 2024. On the surface, that looks solid, but surfaces don't show cracks. Back in 2015, T.I. owed the IRS about $4.5 million. Federal tax liens were filed for 2012 and 2013. And yeah, they had to scramble to fix it. Even with that $71 million win, only about $1 million went toward that debt. And trust me, the IRS doesn't forget. Then it happened again. More tax debt stacked up. Over $383,000 for 2021 and over $2.1 million for 2022, bringing the total to more than $2.5 million. A fresh tax lien even hit in June 2024, right before that huge lawsuit victory. The timing? Almost ironic. A man buried in tax issues suddenly gets a massive payout. That lawsuit was against MGA Entertainment. T.I. and Tamika Tiny Harris won $71 million over the OMG Dolls case. They argued the dolls copied the image of the OMG Girls group, a group connected to their family and business. The court agreed and awarded both damages and penalties. Huge win, no doubt. But listen closely. Winning money and getting money are not the same thing. Because lawsuits don't end at the verdict. Appeals happen. Settlements rarely stay at full value. They get negotiated down fast. Legal teams take their slice too, quietly but heavily. And even if the full payout shows up eventually, there were long stretches where T.I. was in a genuinely shaky financial spot. He was, for years, rich on paper while still owing millions behind the scenes. In reality, he and Tamika Tiny Harris have faced serious money challenges over time. And yeah, those financial pressures didn't just stay in the bank, they hit the marriage too. Back in December 2016, Tiny even filed for divorce, citing parenting tensions. They later reconciled before things went all the way, but that strain, it was very real. Now here's where it gets interesting. 50 Cent knows all of this history. And let's be honest, anyone paying attention to hip-hop knows it too. So when King Harris went viral talking about getting $100K from his dad instead of a bank, that wasn't just a casual comment, it was a bullseye. Because the internet instantly locked on to one narrative. A man who's battled IRS debt for years is now acting as a personal bank for his 21-year-old son. Whether that's fair or not, that almost doesn't matter anymore. Perception online becomes reality, and this perception hit hard. Now, let's talk about King for a second. He's never exactly been low-key. Born Clifford Joseph Harris III, literally named after his father, he's always been in the spotlight. He grew up in front of cameras on T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle. So yeah, attention isn't new to him. That VH1 show ran from 2011 to 2017 and turned the Harris family into household names. And King, he stood out the most. Loud, energetic, unforgettable. As he got older, he leaned deeper into social media. Sometimes entertaining, sometimes a little reckless. He went live at the wrong moments, got into situations that blew up online, built a persona that mixed street energy with celebrity privilege, and that left him in a weird space, too famous to disappear, too young to fully grasp the consequences of every move. For King, those viral moments aren't always planned, they're just real-life situations caught on camera. That's exactly what he said in a recent interview with The Morning Hustle. He tried to clear his name, his image, and especially that $100K narrative. He pushed back on the idea that he simply demanded money from his dad. Instead, he broke down how he actually approaches wealth. According to him, he's not asking for handouts, he's presenting business ideas. He brings investment pitches to T.I., and his father reviews them like any serious investor would, looking at risk, return, and potential. That distinction, it matters more than people think. He wasn't asking for money to spend, he was asking for money to grow. I only go to him for investments, he explained. I don't need a bank, I go to him. That's the full context most people never heard, because the viral clip stripped all of that away and left behind the image of a spoiled rich kid. But the truth, it's more layered than that. He's pitching ideas, not begging for cash. He also talked about going to public school by choice and living with his grandmother while his parents traveled, trying to stay grounded despite the fame. He said he learned early, money isn't given, it's earned. That kept him connected to real life. Now, with his project OGYN out, he's building his own lane, music, business, and personal branding. He's trying to create his own identity. By 2024, his ventures brought him to around $2 million net worth, which is impressive for 21, but also adds context, because suddenly that 100K conversation looks different depending on perspective. Here's the uncomfortable truth people ignore. Wealthy families fund their kids all the time. In tech, finance, Hollywood, it's normal. Parents invest in startups, films, real estate daily. Nobody questions it. But when a rapper's son does it on camera, it turns into entertainment. It becomes jokes. And when your dad's rival is 50 Cent, it becomes ammunition. King even explained that reality TV only showed part of his life, while social media shows the unfiltered version. That gap between image and reality, that's exactly where 50 Cent stepped in. So now we get to the big question.
Is King Harris really bankrupting T.I.? Is he spending recklessly or investing smart? Is he actually draining his father's wealth? Let's be honest for a second. T.I.'s net worth sits around $30 million combined, with Tiny's, including that $71 million lawsuit win. Even after fees, appeals, and taxes, we're still talking about serious money. A $100K investment from that's not bankruptcy. That's about 0.3% of his net worth, less than what they spent on their Atlanta mansion, $3.27 million for a 14,000 square foot home. So the idea that King is draining him, that's classic 50 Cent storytelling. Take a small truth, blow it up into a humiliating narrative. Yeah, T.I. has had financial struggles, IRS debt, tax liens, real issues, even marriage tension tied to money. That part is real, but turning that into his son is bankrupting him, that's social media exaggeration at its finest, and it falls apart under real scrutiny. Then things escalated again. 50 even teased a Diddy-style documentary in March 2026, pushing the beef to another level. T.I. responded, and 50 fired back again, dropping a diss track attacking T.I. and his family. The track, No One Told Us What We Here For, featuring Leon Thomas. Now the battle was everywhere, online, in music, back and forth non-stop. And that 100K story, just a piece of a bigger war. Here's what 50 understood that most people didn't. It was never really about the money. It was about perception, about making T.I. look like he's falling off, turning a rap legend into a struggling father narrative. And once that idea sticks, it spreads fast, because people love downfall stories. We celebrate success, but we obsess over failure. But here's the truth. T.I.'s empire isn't collapsing. He's expanding into tech and real estate, investing in Atlanta's bankhead with people like Killer Mike, putting money and effort back into his community. He's building, not burning. And King, despite the noise, he's building too, through music, business, and personal branding. He's trying to create his own identity. By 2024, his ventures brought him to around $2 million net worth, which is impressive for 21, but also adds context, because suddenly that 100K conversation looks different depending on perspective. Here's the uncomfortable truth people ignore. Wealthy families fund their kids all the time. In tech, finance, Hollywood, it's normal. Parents invest in startups, films, real estate daily. Nobody questions it. But when a rapper's son does it on camera, it turns into entertainment. It becomes jokes. And when your dad's rival is 50 Cent, it becomes ammunition. King even explained that reality TV only showed part of his life, while social media shows the unfiltered version. That gap between image and reality, that's exactly where 50 Cent stepped in. So now we get to the big question. Is King Harris really bankrupting T.I.? Is he spending recklessly or investing smart? Is he actually draining his father's wealth? Let's be honest for a second. T.I.'s net worth sits around $30 million combined, with Tiny's, including that $71 million lawsuit win. Even after fees, appeals, and taxes, we're still talking about serious money. A 100K investment from that's not bankruptcy. That's about 0.3% of his net worth, less